company so powerful, it didn't just dominate photography, it owned memory itself. For decades, if you took a photo, it went through Kodak. Birthdays, weddings, vacations, history itself, printed on Kodak film. And then something unbelievable happened. Kodak invented the digital camera. Not Apple, not Sony. Kodak. That single invention should have made Kodak richer than ever before. Instead, it destroyed the company. How does a company see the future first and still die because of it? This is the story of Kodak, the company that killed itself. Kodak was founded in 1888 by George Eastman, a man with a simple but revolutionary belief. Photography should be easy for everyone, not just professionals. At the time, photography was complicated, expensive, and intimidating. Bulky cameras, glass plates, chemicals, technical skills. Eastman changed everything. Kodak's early slogan said it all. You press the button, we do the rest. Suddenly, anyone could take a photo. Kodak would handle the film, the chemicals, the printing. And with that idea, Kodak didn't just simplify photography, it democratized it. But here's what made Kodak truly unstoppable. Kodak didn't make money when you bought the camera. It made money every time you used it. Film, paper, chemicals, processing. Every click meant more profit. By the mid-20th century, Kodak controlled over 80% of the global film market. It dominated photo paper and processing. It employed tens of thousands of people. It became one of the most powerful brands on earth. Kodak wasn't competing. Kodak was unchallenged. For decades, Kodak lived in a perfectly designed world, a world built entirely around film. Film was profitable, predictable, repeatable. Every roll had to be replaced. Every photo had to be developed. This created an endless loop. More photos, more film, more processing, more profit. Kodak built massive factories, chemical plants, global supply chains, and the margins were enormous. By the 1970s and 1980s, Kodak wasn't just successful, it was printing money. There was no urgency, no pressure, no visible threat. But while Kodak was focused on protecting film, the future was already inside the building. In 1975, a young Kodak engineer named Steven Sasson built something strange. Using spare parts, a CCD image sensor, and a cassette tape, he created the world's first digital camera. It had no film, black and white images, a 23-second capture time per photo. It weighed nearly 8 pounds. By today's standards, it was terrible. By historical standards, it was revolutionary. Sasson understood exactly what he had created, so he presented it to Kodak executives, and that meeting would quietly decide Kodak's fate. The executives understood the invention. They didn't laugh at it. They didn't ignore it. They saw its potential, and that's what terrified them, because digital photography meant something unthinkable. No film, no chemicals, no processing, no repeat purchases. In other words, no Kodak business model. Inside Kodak, the question wasn't, can this technology work? It was, will this destroy everything we make money from? And the answer was brutally honest, yes. So Kodak made a decision that felt safe at the time. Delay the future. They patented digital technology. They hid it internally. They continued investing in film. They hoped digital cameras would stay. Expensive, low-quality niche Kodak didn't fail to innovate. Kodak failed to commit. Kodak was trapped in what business historians call the innovator's dilemma. If Kodak pushed digital, it would destroy its own film profits. If Kodak ignored digital, someone else would own the future. So Kodak chose survival over transformation. Executives feared killing their most profitable product, shocking Wall Street's short-term revenue collapse. They tried to balance both worlds. Film would stay king, digital would grow slowly, under control. But here's the problem, technology doesn't grow on corporate timelines, and the world wasn't waiting for Kodak. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Sony invested heavily in digital cameras. Canon and Nikon embraced digital imaging electronics companies saw opportunity, not danger. They had one massive advantage. They had nothing to lose. No film factories to protect, no legacy business to defend. They moved faster, they improved image quality, they lowered prices, digital cameras became better and cheaper every single year. Kodak still held many patents, but here's the harsh truth, patents don't win markets, execution does. Eventually, Kodak accepted reality. It launched digital cameras. It tried to reposition itself as a digital imaging company, but timing is everything. Kodak's digital products lacked clear differentiation, faced brutal competition, generated thin margins. Unlike film, digital hardware was commoditized, price-driven, ruthlessly competitive. Kodak had fallen from monopoly profits to razor-thin margins almost overnight. And just when Kodak thought it understood digital, another wave arrived. The smartphone changed everything. When phones gained cameras, casual photography exploded, standalone cameras lost relevance. Photos moved online. Photography was no longer about printing. It was about sharing speed, social media, cloud storage. Kodak had no platform, no ecosystem, no software dominance. Its DNA was chemistry and film, not software and data, and the gap was fatal. The tragedy of Kodak isn't stupidity. Kodak engineers were brilliant. They invented core digital imaging technologies, built advanced sensors, owned thousands of valuable patents. Kodak even explored early ideas for online photo sharing, digital storage, image editing. But leadership couldn't turn innovation into transformation. They optimized for legacy revenue, quarterly results, protecting the past, instead of redefining photography, owning digital ecosystems, leading the cultural shift, and slowly, the window closed. Kodak's biggest enemy wasn't competition, it was culture. Film executives held power, digital teams lacked authority, innovation threatened careers. Digital photography wasn't just a new technology, it was an identity crisis. Kodak didn't want to become a tech company, it wanted to remain a film company in a world that no longer needed film. Decisions slowed, momentum disappeared, and the market moved on. By the late 2000s, film sales collapsed, digital profits were weak, smartphones destroyed demand, revenue fell, costs stayed high, debt piled up. In 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy protection. A company that once defined an era was reduced to selling patents and shrinking operations. The name survived, the empire did not. After the collapse, Kodak still exists today. Barely. It exited consumer photography. It shifted toward commercial printing, imaging technology, brand licensing. Kodak moment no longer means capturing memories. It means nostalgia. The question now, why Kodak really failed? Kodak didn't fail because it missed the future. Kodak failed because it saw the future and feared it. It invented digital photography. It understood what it meant, and it chose comfort over courage. The real enemy wasn't technology, it was success. Kodak didn't lose because it was stupid. It lost because it was brilliant and afraid. It built the future, then protected the past. And that single decision destroyed everything. So here's the real question. Which company today is making the same mistake? Because the biggest danger to any giant is believing it still has time. Kodak didn't, and the next one might not either.